I've been on YouTube for 2 months and I can tell it changed my life. It's probably the sentence most people start these videos with, and it's not true for me. If anything, it kept my stress levels the same after I quit my stressful job. In this video, I'd like to summarize the 2 months of my content creation journey, not only from the YouTube standpoint, but also from Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn standpoint, because the first month summary that I did on LinkedIn was quite a success. So I decided to do a follow-up in a form of video and a small presentation that I prepared. So hopefully this will be insightful for you. I would like to be as transparent as possible. So I'll go through my goals, through the data, and then through the learnings and what's next. My name is Mark, you're watching Marketing Right Side Up. And since I mentioned the newsletter is one of my priorities, if you haven't yet, please go to the pinned comment and subscribe to my weekly marketing newsletter, which contains also the summary of all the social media marketing events and updates and news in a very fashionable Airtable, right? So before we start with the data, let's summarize the goals. I've wanted to establish a presence of a personal brand of sorts, with YouTube and newsletter being the focuses and short form being the, not really afterthought, but basically a promotion vehicle for the long form and for the newsletter. I also wanted to create content that I would personally watch and enjoy. I wanted to create content that younger me would find the value in. And also I wanted to create content I enjoy making. What's the point of creating content if you suffer creating it, or if you're just following trends and it's not fulfilling you? So I wanted to keep these 3 points as like top of the mind when it comes to my content creation. I also wanted to limit it to one long form video, one newsletter made from the long form video, and up to 7 shorts a week, so I don't burn out and I can spend on average 2 hours a day preparing all this stuff and still grow at some pace. And in the second month, I've also added 2 new goals. One is focus on SEO, because the first month basically flopped when it comes to SEO. And also a second goal was just to create 2 types of short content. In the first month, I've experimented a lot, and in the second one, I wanted to distill it down to basically educational content / social media marketing, news and updates, and memes containing social media news and updates, right? So now for the data. YouTube, I've started the first month very strong. I had 3 big hits with mostly shorts and scored 48,000 views. Compared to second month, I've only scored 18,000 views. I'll talk about why is that so low later in the video. When we compare the impressions, 47,500 impressions in the second month compared to 84,600 impressions in the first month. Also, when we compare the watch hours, the first month was stronger than the second month. However, when we look at the traffic sources, in the second month, there was less traffic coming from Shorts feed, which I labeled as a win, because my focus was to work on SEO, and this reflects that it actually did work. Because when we look at the other features of recommendation and stuff, we see that we have some growth there, 5.4% compared to 4.7 in the first month. And when we look at the traffic from search, we see that there was a massive increase, 8.2% compared to 2.4, which I'm very happy about this one. Also a slight bump in the external source of traffic. And when we look at the total numbers, in the first 2 months, I got 1,511 likes, 143 subs, 80 from short, 37 from long form, and the rest from basically direct or from promotion in my newsletter. And when we look at the top 5 geos, US has been the majority with 53%, then UK, Canada, Germany, and Slovakia. When we look at the views graph on the long form videos, we can see that there's some, like, let's call it a steady growth, right? But when we look at the shorts graph, we can see that in the later part of the month, there was a basically flat line of almost no views. This was caused by YouTube and not promoting any of my shorts. I had shorts that scored like 15,000 views, 10,000 views, mostly around 600 or 1,000 views. But in these 9 days at the end of the second month, I had shorts with like 3 views, 6 views. The most I got was like 20, I think, which I'm not really sure why that happened. It was not controversial content. It was not a change in my upload schedule. Nothing. It just happened and occurred, and it never basically got back or never promoted those videos that I uploaded in those 9 days. But after that, it suddenly jumped to like 6,000 at the beginning of the third month. So I think it's fixed, but I have no clue why, how, or what happened. Also, when we look at the long form videos, we can see that the traffic distribution was different. The external was the biggest part, basically, since I promote my long form videos in my newsletter. And we can see that the top videos for the second month were the two videos containing Meta AI with 700 views each, which was outlier for my usual content, because I'm used to like 100 or 200 views on my long form, with very sad fact about the most precious video to me, which was basically my digital marketing course, as I call it, the 5 mistakes of a CMO or marketer that I did. And I really poured my heart and soul into this video. It was mostly a therapy session for me, and I really hoped it would perform better, but it never crossed 90 views till this day, I think. And second video that was kind of a surprise of how bad it performed was the Google Algorithm League, because there was no really real competition for this keyword. There was high volume and low competition, as I said, but it never really, took off. And again, I don't know why. Instagram blew off. Kinda. In the second month, I had 19,683 accounts reached versus 3,800 in the first month, which was amazing. Also, when we look at the impressions, 25,000 compared to 6,000 in the first month, amazing. And the follower distribution, or the follower non-follower distribution, grew from 99.2, which was already amazing, to 99.7% non-followers. This basically shows that Instagram growth is still present. You can still grow organically on Instagram, although some gurus claim that you cannot and Instagram is already saturated. It's not. You just have to know how to do it. But when we look at the number of followers in the second month, I got only 28 new followers despite having 25,000 impressions and 19,000 views. But we had 323 likes, 17 comments, and 120 saves and shares, compared to 163 likes, 12 comments, and 55 saves and shares in the first month. However, the follower growth was slower and very incomparable, I would say, to the first month. We also have an outlier here, which basically caused most of the views and most of the impressions. It was this video that was a meme that basically was a remix. I did a couple of these remixes already, but none of those took off. This one did. I don't know why, but it basically outperformed everything. Here we can also see that not only the impressions but also plays, the distribution from followers to non-followers, and also engagement was off the charts. When we look at TikTok, we have a similar story as we have with Instagram. 65,446 views compared to 8,866 in the first month, with the distribution or the traffic source of For You page, which most people are aiming for due to the virality or the viral potential of this traffic source, decreased in the second month from 88% to 31.2%, which is kind of a fail, because like you always want new organic reach, right? But what we have great here is that the massive portion of views came from search mostly, which is a massive win in my books, because my goal for the second month was to focus on the SEO. Other traffic sources, personal profile compared to following in the first month, basically different metric, but they are present and were not present in the other month, respectively. And in total, 997 likes, 54 comments, 58 saves and shares, and plus 10 followers but minus 8 in the second month, compared to 306 likes, 49 comments, 38 saves and shares, but 32 new followers in the first month. Again, we do have an outlier, even a more massive one than compared to Instagram, and it was the video about Be Real, which outperformed every other video by a mile, or 53,000 miles, because I was used to like 600, 700, maybe even 1,000 views on a video when it was a better one, but 54,000 views was an absolute outlier, and it happened for no apparent reason. I would like to happily report also that I've escaped the 200 and 300 view hell, although none of the guru tricks and tips actually helped. It was just me being consistent with the topics of my videos that I upload, and it started growing because the videos performed, and basically TikTok started to recommend me more. When we look at the outlier video, we can see that Until today, there are 65,000 views, more than 157 hours of playtime. However, only 2.53% of people watched the full video because it's a whopping 53-second long video. So it had no business to perform this well, but it did. When we look at LinkedIn, we have a very weird situation going on because the second month of me consistently posting performed way worse than the first month when it comes to unique views and also all post impressions, although the difference there was not as drastic as with the unique views. However, when it comes to newsletter impressions, I'm talking about LinkedIn Pulse impressions, they were slightly higher than the first month. However, when we look at the article views, there was a more of a growth, I would say. 609 article views compared to 242 in the first month, and 100 new newsletter subscribers combined LinkedIn and Beehiiv versus 210 in the first month. 35 engagement versus 26. When we talk about newsletter, I also mentioned in the beginning of this video that it was one of my focuses or one of my main goals, because the newsletter, I feel like it's the vehicle where I have the most control of reaching my audience. You know, like on LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, you have these algorithms that sometimes you know how to please, but in most cases you cannot really, anticipate the outcome of the distributions of those views. However, when you have a mailing list, you can. That's why I decided to focus on mailing list and provide as much value as I can in my free newsletter. Since on LinkedIn I had the most following out of all these other platforms, because on the other platforms I started from scratch, and on LinkedIn I had my personal account built for years with like 2,000 something followers and 1,500 connections. I thought it was the best case for me to promote this type of content. However, LinkedIn seems to hate me, and I'll talk about it in the later part. So I'm thinking about moving my newsletter completely from LinkedIn into Beehiiv. When I talk about Beehiiv, that's where I point all my links towards to, because it's a, for me and for now, free newsletter platform that allows me to create my content and distribute it how I want to. It has some community aspects and some basic analytics in the free tier. That's for up to 2,500 subscribers. And if you are thinking about having a newsletter or you haven't, and this video somehow sparked that interest in you, I highly recommend Beehiiv. I'm not sponsored by them yet, but I love the company. I love their attitude on LinkedIn. Their CEO Tyler added me. We chatted for a bit. Their employees have this bit of a pride in their product, and they're really living and breathing it, and I dig that. So although not sponsored, I do have affiliate link in the description, and I highly recommend you checking it out. And one more addition to the data part is that for the first month, I've also used X, Threads, and Snap to distribute my content. I was using the recycled content for extra impressions, but nothing noteworthy. But in the second month, I decided to stop Snap due to continuously decreasing views. At the beginning, it was like 200, 100, but at the end, it was like 40, and it did not really make sense for me for the extra hustle. I still occasionally post on X, but it's more of an afterthought, because I also, compared to my LinkedIn, have some professional following there, like 300 something followers, but all my tweets get like 7 impressions, and it's very discouraging. However, Threads became the main source of my procrastination. I'm starting fights there and arguments, and got like some hits, I would say. With the most relevant for me is a thread where I tested a topic for future video actually, and it will be the video after this one, about how the Instagram growth is still real and how you can achieve it if you know how to do it. But this one got like 2,000 impressions and a couple likes, and also like 26 comments, which is by far my most successful thread. However, I do have some answers or replies to other people's threads that were even more successful, like this one about me bitching about my ADHD rendering me useless until I have stress or deadlines, and also the story of how I got fired when we were expecting our firstborn, which got like 115,000 views. So apparently people are interested in my firing story. Maybe do a future video, I don't know. Right, so what are some learnings of all these 2 months? In the first month, I had a learning saying that meme content works on Instagram and YouTube, but not on TikTok, which is weird because like it's the go-to short form content, and educational content seemed to work better on TikTok. So I combined them into educational memes, I would say, or like news memes, and that seems to work on all three platforms. Differently, but it does. I also said in the first month that ranking for search is easiest on TikTok with clearly defined keywords, not necessarily hashtags, and the worst on Instagram and very unpredictable on YouTube. And I still stand behind this claim. Though I had multiple successes with SEO on all three platforms, I would say YouTube is the most unpredictable, solely because of those 9 days of not getting any views at all, although the SEO was there. The third learning was that saving content and sending it to other people boosts Instagram reach the most, on TikTok minimally, and on YouTube not at all. This still holds very true. It's still important on TikTok to have a content that people can share or send to other people, but the effect is not as huge as on Instagram for the organic reach. That's basically what Instagram's current early 2024 algorithm is built on. The early engagement of your followers and then of the non-followers with the content. And another learning was that the more time you spend on a short form content, the worse it will perform, and that's the law and absolutely still holds true. Another learning was that recycled short form content does not perform well on TikTok. Instagram seems to like it though. I made it work. That's basically the same point as the first one. The key was for the meme content to be originally edited in TikTok app, either edit captions, music, text over the video, or stretched in length, or edit green screen element and making it longer than 10 seconds. This seemed to be the crucial part, the 10-second or the 11-second frontier. No idea why though. Learnings for the second month. LinkedIn works best with significant updates. I've learned this the hard way. When I posted occasionally before I started my content creation journey, I had posts with like 1,500 or 2,000 impressions. Now I'm happy if I hit 500, like seriously. Hashtags and links hurt the reach the most, same as vertical video, although LinkedIn released a guidance for people to post vertical videos because it's like the next hype, but it seems like the guidance team did not let know the algorithm team that they should prioritize vertical video, because all my vertical videos performed way worse than any other type of content that I had. Also, horizontal video kind of works, static images and polls as well, but not amazingly. Like, I created a poll because I thought it's the own tool of LinkedIn and should be featured more, but it got like 700 impressions, so nothing on par with my previous posts. So back to the point, LinkedIn works best with significant updates, like you quitting, you starting a new job, you announcing your content creation journey as I did. Those were like the significant updates, as well as me starting newsletter. That's when I got the most subscribers as well. Other than that, any regular article or newsflash or video content does not seem to perform that well. Sure, there are outliers, but I did not have any yet. YouTube still remains a mystery. While with Instagram and TikTok, I would say like I'm quite confident what will perform. YouTube just straight up ignored my videos, as I mentioned earlier, so it's still an enigma. I also had the Google algorithm leak video, which I was sure will be a search success, but it wasn't. I had the 2 search successes with the Meta AI videos, but I fear that I fell into the Meta AI niche and I don't want to continue in that. So yeah, I had like those 2 search hits, which is awesome, but the very next video flopped amazingly. So still very unpredictable. And for the first month, I was figuring out types of content that I would like to post. And this month I've zoomed on 2 types of short form and made them work on all 3 platforms, which is learning for me, but also a success that I'd like to share. And the weirdest thing is how LinkedIn decreases my reach and YouTube stopped featuring my videos for 9 straight days. Like the 9 straight days videos, we've talked about that, but LinkedIn continuously decreasing my reach is super weird. Like I feel like I'm shadow banned, although I still get some organic reach, so it's very weird. So yeah, those were my 2 months and my learnings of my content creation journey. I hope you found some value in this video, either some benchmarks or, you know, encouragement for you to keep up and go for the second month if you're in your first month, or if you just started, I don't know. Hopefully there was some valuable information for you, or you just got inspired to start your newsletter, which I highly encourage you to do so. you will thank me later when all the platforms change their algorithms and you will still have your mailing list. As for me, for my third month, I would like to start not chasing trends when it comes to long form content, but start finally do some how-to content on marketing topics like how to strategy, how to marketing plan, how to funnel, how to stuff like this. With my next video being, a transition between trends and the how-tos, and that being the Instagram growth is still real and why companies and businesses cannot grow on Instagram today. Hopefully there will be some value for you as well. If yes, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notif bell. And if you haven't yet and you're interested in OpenAI or AI everything, consider watching my previous video about how OpenAI might be on a track to destroy or harm humanity. Right, it's kind of a depressing video, but I think very crucial to talk about. That's like the last depressing video for a while. Next one will be the Instagram growth. I hope to see you there, and let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for future content as well, or let me know if you actually got to this part of the video and it gave you some value and where in your content journey you are currently. I'll be very interested to read all that. Thank you very much, and I see you in the next one.